I'm Dr. Tracy Tyson. I'm a pediatrician, and I wanted to talk to families about how can you talk to your children about their bodies and sensitive subjects in the best way possible. So this is a complicated topic. I'm not going to use some of the terms that I recommend that you use because I've tried to film this a few times and TikTok does not like it when I use those terms too much. So let's talk about this from a very, very early stage. So when you are talking to your children about their genitalia, use the proper terms. There's no reason to make up something silly or something funny because they can understand when you use proper anatomical terms for their genitalia or private parts. If they happen to use cute little words, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Let them be. You don't need to correct them. But when you talk to them about it, use those proper anatomical terms so that they understand that it is just a body part and they can give you more information about what is wrong, and it sets them up for a little bit better confidence with their body when they get older. The second thing is when a child gets older, talking to them about body consent. So children as young as 2 and 3 should have some bodily autonomy. If they don't want to hug someone, they don't have to. So starting to help them understand what are some socially acceptable ways that they can feel more comfortable having that bodily autonomy where they don't have to sit in someone's lap. If they don't want to, they don't have to hug them. And so talking about those things ahead of time, reading your child's cues and helping them navigate those situations, and don't ever force them to do something that they don't feel comfortable with because every child is really different and it can be quite traumatizing. Another thing is that as they start to get a little bit older, children have modesty at different levels. So some children have very little body modesty and some children have a lot of body modesty. So respecting where they are, if they want to get dressed in a private space, there's nothing wrong with that. If they don't mind walking through the house naked, there's nothing wrong with that. But then you also talk to them about what that expectation is to respect somebody else's modesty. And so if you want to set the precedent in your home that you may not mind if I walk into the bathroom while you are in there, I would appreciate it if you would knock before you come into the bathroom when I am in there, especially when it comes to their siblings and friends. This just sets up a mutually respectful relationship and helps the child understand that someone could have a different feeling about their body than they do, and it helps them learn how to respect it. This is also a good time to talk to children about what they should expect from the adults around them with regards to their body. So talking to them about, instead of just with stranger danger or things that could be bad, talking to them about what they should expect. So adults should respect your body. Adults should respect your opinion. You don't have to do something that an adult tells you to. If you feel it is wrong, you can say no thank you, give them some respectful words, and then they can come and tell you what happened. So I think it's a good way to talk to kids really early on without scaring them, is letting them know what they should expect from adults in their lives. Adults should not ask a child to lie. Adults should not ask a child for their help. And adults should not ask a child to do something that the child feels uncomfortable with or knows is wrong. So give your child some social stories about ways to help them understand this. Because even if they are not at risk for abuse, they can actually pick up when their friends are at risk for abuse. And I have seen this before where it was another child that picked up on something happening with one of their friends. The next phase is, what do you do when your child asks you a question about their body or about the birds and the bees or something else, and you are like, oh, I don't know, are they ready for this? The rule of thumb is if they're old enough to ask the question, they are old enough for the answer. We don't want to hide anything from our kids because, again, that makes it shameful, and they'll just go find an answer someplace else or think it's wrong, or they'll stop asking you. And I promise you, as a parent of teenagers, you want your children to ask you, even if it's uncomfortable. You want to have a really open conversation and relationship with your children. Every study also shows that the earlier you talk about reproductive health with your kids, it does not encourage them to reproduce early. It actually does the opposite. The more informed they are, the more likely they are to make informed decisions. And so when you're talking to them about that, remember that. So if a child asks you a question, answer only the question that they ask. Don't elaborate, and wait a second. Then answer the next question that they ask. If they're not ready for more, they'll say, okay, and they'll move on. And you just wait for the next question to come. And that can kind of continue until you can get all the information to them. if you have a child that's really reserved and doesn't ask you questions about their body or their reproductive health, then you can start those conversations where you know that it's most comfortable. Sometimes that's in the car when you're going someplace and it's just the two of you. You can mention something, let it sink in for a little bit, be quiet, change the subject, see if it'll get them to ask another question. Some children also do really well with books instead. They want to read about it first. And so I know for girls, there's a really good book called The Care and Keeping of You. There's other books out there. If I can find some good ones, I'll link them in the comments. And if you have any good books, please put them in the comments as well. And so you can sometimes give your child some reading materials so that they can read about it where they feel most comfortable, and then have a time set aside where they can ask you questions. Another way to talk about puberty with children is just start talking about hygiene. So saying your body is changing, and as it's changing, you just need to make sure that you are washing certain areas a little bit more often, washing your face, make sure you're washing your armpits, your genitalia, making sure that you change your underwear often, brushing your teeth, and let me know if you have any questions. Sometimes they don't know what questions to ask, so you can say, if this ever happens to you, it is normal. And then they go, oh, okay. They might not admit to you that it has happened, but they are less likely to feel alone. They know it's okay to talk about it, and they might come to you in the future. So in general, use proper anatomical terms with your children. Teach them about body autonomy and safety. Teach them about consent. They don't get to touch other people's body without that person's consent, so no one touches their body without theirs. Making sure that they understand how to respect others and what is expected of them with adults around them. Be really open and honest. Answer the questions that they have. If they don't ask you questions, give them a fact, let it settle for a little bit, and then see what other questions happen. Make sure that you are the person that teaches your child about reproductive health, because if they don't hear it from you, they're going to find out from somewhere. And now with it being the internet, it is so much worse. So if you have any questions and you want some more guidance, we as your pediatricians are here to help you. I hope this helps someone. Take care.